Milo was a stray dog whose life had taken a heartbreaking turn. Once a joyful and energetic pup, he now lay on the streets, barely clinging to life. His body was emaciated, each rib visible beneath his thin coat. He was suffering, his eyes filled with pain and confusion, as he searched for a glimmer of hope. As people walked by, most of them ignored his struggle. They hurried past, wrapped up in their own lives, failing to notice the desperate dog begging for help. But among the crowd, one person paused, recognized the suffering in Milo's eyes, and felt compelled to take action. This person understood that Milo's story wasn't over yet, and that something needed to be done to save him. You see, stray animals face daily struggles that are hard to imagine. Each day they scavenge for scraps of food and search for a safe place to sleep. Their hope for a permanent home is often just a distant dream. They wander through streets, parks, and alleys, always on the lookout for something that might fill their empty bellies or offer a moment of comfort. Sadly, not every stray finds a helping hand. Many live their entire lives in miserable conditions, enduring hunger, sickness, and loneliness. They rarely receive the basics that every animal needs, which is a good meal, a warm bed, and love from their family. These basic comforts are often out of reach for strays who are left to fend for themselves, and it's in these moments that our compassion can make a world of difference. For some, the reality is even more tragic. They pass away alone, never having known the warmth of a loving home or the joy of being part of a family. Their lives are a stark reminder of the harsh conditions faced by countless animals who never get the chance to experience the beauty and care that they so deeply deserve. And Milo's story actually began in a much happier place. He was once cherished by loving owners who gave him affection and care. He lived in a warm home, surrounded by people who cared for him deeply. Now, real quick, if you love animals, hit that subscribe button and notification bell so you never miss a new story from us. But Milo's life took a turn when a couple adopted him during a difficult period in their marriage. Milo brought a glimmer of joy into their lives, and his presence seemed to ease their troubles. The couple argued less and were happier overall, finding comfort in Milo's companionship. However, the couple's relationship was strained and their issues resurfaced. Eventually, their problems became too much to handle, leading to their separation. When the marriage fell apart, so did Milo's stable life. His human mother left, and soon after, his human father did too, abandoning Milo. Left behind, Milo was now alone and without a home, his life unraveling as he faced a future far different from the one he once knew. On October 23rd, 2018, David, a tourist from New York, was exploring Cairo and decided to grab a bite to eat. On the first day of his 2-week vacation, he got some food, and as he made his way through a bustling market, the lively chatter and the aroma of street food filled the air. It was in this vibrant setting that David heard a faint whimper. Curious and concerned, David followed the sound and discovered Milo, a small dog lying near a pile of trash. Milo was in a pitiful state. His ribs were visible, his fur was matted, and he appeared to be in significant pain. David wasn't a dog lover and had no experience with animal rescue. However, the sight of Milo's suffering, combined with the realization that leaving the dog in this condition could mean his end, struck a chord with him. David knew he couldn't just walk away. Driven by the urgency of the situation, David approached Milo with care and some of his newly purchased food. Speaking softly to avoid frightening him, David placed a small piece of food on the ground. As Milo hesitated, David gently lifted the weak dog, feeling a deep sense of responsibility. David was determined to get Milo the urgent medical attention he needed. He carefully navigated through the crowded streets, rushing Milo to the nearest veterinary clinic, fully aware that every moment was crucial for the dog's survival. At the veterinary clinic, the veterinarian gave a cautious prognosis. Milo could survive if he made it through the weekend. The vet explained that Milo was in critical condition and needed intensive care. David, who was staying in Cairo for 2 weeks, checked in on Milo daily. He visited the clinic each day to monitor Milo's progress and check up on him. After the first 2 days, Milo began to show signs of gradual improvement. His condition started to stabilize, and he slowly gained some energy. The turning point came when he began to move more freely, though initially with difficulty. As the days went by, Milo's mobility improved, and he started moving with increasing strength. By the end of the week, Milo's progress was impressive. He could walk longer distances and even began to run around with enthusiasm. His physical recovery was evident. He regained strength and his fur grew back, restoring his appearance significantly. 1 week into Milo's treatment, the vet called David with encouraging news they planned to release Milo soon. David, worried about how Milo would adjust to his new life and the transition out of the clinic, decided to stay with him for the final week of his vacation. He wanted to be there for Milo, ensuring he was fully prepared for his new beginning. As Milo's recovery progressed, the contrast between his initial state and his transformed appearance was striking. When David first found him, Milo was emaciated, covered in mange, and barely able to move. His fur was sparse and his body was frail. After weeks of dedicated care, Milo's transformation was remarkable. His fur grew back full and healthy, his body regained strength, and he appeared vibrant and full of life. The physical difference was truly astonishing. During this time, David was struck by Milo's remarkable recovery and resilience and decided to keep the name Milo, reflecting the dog's journey from suffering to strength. The emotional impact of Milo's recovery was profound. David, who initially had no intention of adopting a dog, found himself deeply connected to Milo. Watching the transformation from a suffering stray to a strong, happy dog created a powerful bond. David's commitment and care had not only saved Milo's life, but also forged a lasting friendship between them. The journey was not just about Milo's physical healing, but also about the emotional growth and connection that developed along the way. As David's final week in Cairo drew to a close, he began to prepare for his return home. His time with Milo had been deeply meaningful, and the thought of leaving him behind weighed heavily on his heart. David initially planned to leave Milo at the clinic, where he would be in good hands, but the decision felt increasingly difficult. On the last day of his stay, David decided to take Milo for a walk through the city one final time. As they strolled together, David tried to keep his emotions in check, knowing that soon he would have to part ways with the dog who had touched his life so profoundly. He hoped this final outing would give Milo a sense of closure and help ease the transition. However, as David neared the clinic, Milo began to act differently. The dog, who had been calm and affectionate for the past week, now showed signs of distress. Milo seemed to sense that something was wrong, and as David approached the clinic, Milo's anxiety grew. The moments David kept getting closer to leaving Milo at the clinic and turn away, Milo would hold his ground and not move anymore. Milo reacted with a desperate determination to stay with him. As David let go of the leash and turned back around to leave, Milo followed closely, refusing to let him out of sight. Despite David's attempts to leave him behind, the dog trailed him persistently, stopping only when David did. Milo's loyalty and attachment were unmistakable. He was unwilling to be separated from David. Seeing Milo's distress and realizing how much he meant to him, David's heart softened. He started to understand that Milo's presence in his life wasn't just a coincidence. David began to reflect on how their paths had crossed at the perfect time. The timing, the unexpected meeting, and the deep bond they had formed seemed like more than just chance. It felt like it had a deeper meaning. David realized that Milo had come into his life for a reason. Their journey together, from the initial rescue to the emotional bond they had forged, was a powerful reminder of how life's twists and turns often bring us exactly what we need, even if we don't know it at the time. Milo's unwavering loyalty and the way he had clung to David showed that their meeting was meant to be. It was as if Milo had entered David's life to teach him about compassion, connection, and the joy of giving and receiving unconditional love. The thought of leaving Milo behind, especially after everything they had shared, felt profoundly wrong. David understood that their story was far from over. It was only just beginning. The bond they had formed was too strong to ignore, and David felt a deep sense of purpose in keeping Milo by his side. This dog had come into his life to fill a space he hadn't realized was empty, and David was determined to honor that newfound connection. So, David made the decision to take Milo back home with him. He canceled his plans to leave Milo at the clinic and instead prepared for the journey to bring the dog to his own home. It was a bold choice, but one driven by the deep bond and understanding that had developed between them. As David and Milo set off on their new journey together, it marked the beginning of a new chapter filled with hope and companionship. David made arrangements to fly with Milo back to New York City, ensuring all necessary paperwork was in order for the journey to his new home. David knew Milo was too large to travel in the cabin, so he arranged for him to fly in the cargo hold. He prepared Milo's travel crate with comfort and safety in mind, including a cozy blanket and his favorite toys. Throughout the journey, David frequently checked on Milo's well-being and coordinated with the airline to ensure everything went smoothly. Upon arrival in New York City, David was relieved to see Milo safely and comfortably emerge from the cargo area. He carefully transported Milo from the airport to his new home, making sure the transition was as smooth and reassuring as possible for his new companion. Arriving at his apartment, David gently carried Milo inside and introduced him to his new home. He set up a special corner with a soft bed, toys, and a blanket to make Milo feel secure and welcome. The transition was smooth, and Milo quickly adapted to his new environment, exploring with a mix of curiosity and cautious excitement. Their days soon settled into a comforting routine. David and Milo enjoy long walks through Central Park, where Milo eagerly explores every corner and enjoys the fresh air. Dogs have an incredible way of coming into our lives at the most unexpected moments. They seem to show up just when we need them the most, bringing joy, comfort, and a unique kind of companionship that's hard to find anywhere else. Their loyalty and unconditional love remind us of the simple but profound connections we share with the world. Milo's arrival in David's life was a perfect example of how these amazing animals can transform our lives in ways we never anticipated. Now, for more daily videos on amazing rescue and feel-good stories, make sure to subscribe to the Jacktra YouTube channel and follow us on social media at Jacktra. And do you want your pet to be featured right here on the Jacktra channel? Click the first link in the description to find out how your pet could be featured right here on the Jacktra channel. Also, let me know what you think of this story in the comments below. See you in the next one.